Hello everyone, in this session we are going to talk about APIs in detail. If you remember, if you recall JavaScript, like in JavaScript part 11 or part 12 I guess, in that we have talked about what is an API and we have studied some tools which are used to check the health of API, and those tools are Postman and Hopscotch. But if you recall the concepts which we have studied back then, I have told you that whenever we go into the backend, we will understand, after completing Express and EJS, we will try to understand how we can create our very own APIs from scratch. In that JavaScript lecture, we have only seen how we can use pre-existing APIs. In that we have used, I guess, cat API, cat and random fact generator. These are some random open source APIs which we have used in our computer. But in this session, what we are gonna do is that we will understand the concepts of APIs in detail. We will understand how API work, what is the real definition of API, and we will try to build our very own API from scratch. Right, we will try to build a Quora like website by the end of this lecture. So if you watch this lecture entirely, then by the end of this you will understand the different methods involved in an API, and we will complete a page. We will build a page which is very, not exactly, but a basic Quora like platform. Right, in that you can create your own post, delete your post, edit, see your post, all this sort of things you can do in that page. We will try to do all of that using the concept of API. Okay, clear. But let us begin our chapter with the definition of what is a API. A API is nothing but, you can consider it as a URL with an endpoint. What is the meaning of it? So to understand a URL with the endpoint, let me open a website. So here I will open Amazon.in or Amazon India or something. You can see this is the website of Amazon. Now this is a normal URL of Amazon.in. Now whenever I click some button, now let's say I'm clicking on this some designs, flower designs. Now you will see that here I will, in my URL there is a change, and that change is Amazon.in / handcraft crystal tree something and / some encoding. Now if I go to Amazon Pay, you will see my URL is Amazon.in / Amazon Pay. So here the thing you need to remember is a website can have different endpoints. Here let me draw it. By drawing it you will understand in detail. So here let us say that there is a website, there is an Amazon website. An Amazon website will have different paths, different routes, and we call that route as an endpoint in itself. Like for example, if I'm clicking on Amazon Pay, then my URL will be Amazon.in / Amazon Pay. If I'm going to electronics, then my URL will be Amazon.in / electronics. So this is an endpoint in itself, and this is also a endpoint in itself, and we call this endpoint, this URL, as a API. And whenever I go to that endpoint, what is happening? If we see clearly here, you can see I'm in Amazon.in website. Now whenever I go to like MX Player or Amazon Pay, then you will see that my endpoint will be Amazon.in / Amazon Pay. So this is a API in itself. This URL is nothing but an API. And the thing you need to observe here is, when I am in my home page, I am having all the details about Amazon page. Whenever I am going into Amazon.in / Amazon Pay, what is happening? The overall interface of the website is changing. How this is happening? This is happening through URL. Like whenever I go to this API, whenever I go to this endpoint, what this endpoint will do is that this endpoint will send me the data, a bundle of HTML, CSS and JavaScript in return. So the definition, the basic definition of an API is nothing but a basic URL, a URL which will return some data in return. Right, here you can see endpoint a URL which is having an endpoint, and whenever I go to that endpoint, I will get some data. That data can be a website, that data can be a JS format, JavaScript object, or that data can be anything. If I'm getting something in return, then that whole process is known as an API. That is the formal definition of an API. Endpoint, and whenever I reach that endpoint, I will get some data out of it, and that this whole process is known as API. Now, they are some standard rules. Whenever we create an API now from scratch, we follow a standard rule, and we call that standard rule as REST. In this whole chapter, we will study how we can create our very own API using this standard rules of REST, right? Whenever we are creating a real-time example, real-time website. Now, when we create a real-time website, we should make sure that our platform, whenever investor or like your colleague is seeing your website, they should understand what you are doing in the platform, right? You shouldn't create APIs like /running, /growing, /eating. You shouldn't never ever create APIs like that. You should not create endpoints like some random endpoints. Like for example, let's say I'm creating a blog platform, like we are having Imaginary Hub X, right? So if I'm creating a Imaginary Hub X, I should create endpoints in such a way that my user, my fellow developer, my owner of the website, all these people should understand, okay, whenever I go to this URL, this work will get performed. They should never ever get confused by your code. And to make sure that your code is crisp and clear to other people, we use a concept called as REST. And REST will make sure that your API follows a standard procedure. Okay, so here let me clear all the things on my screen. Okay, now what is REST? REST, the full form of REST is representational state transfer. I know the name is long, but the basic understanding of REST is REST gives us a set of rules. For example, if I have to draw parallels with other platforms, with other technology, we have studied Java. In Java, there are a lot of concepts, like there are concepts of backtracking, dynamic programming, graphs. So this all are the concepts, right? Similarly, in web development also, we are having different technologies, and that technologies follows a order. For example, if I talk about HTML, we follow a particular order. First of all, I will have my boilerplate code, doctor type. In that, I will have my HTML document. In that, I will have my body, styling, header, all this. So here what I'm doing, I'm following the order. Similarly, when I talk about Express, in Express also, first of all, we will require the Express package. After it, we'll create the object of Express package, and like this, we'll go into a structure. We will follow a structure. Like this, whenever you are creating an API, we follow a structure, a technique, a constraint, and that constraint we call it as a REST. So REST is not a technology, REST is not a framework. REST is a set of rules which are used to create an API. And if you create an API using the concept of REST, then we call it as RESTful APIs. I hope you have understood. API is basically a URL, an endpoint, and whenever you go to that endpoint, what you will get? You will get some data in return, and that data can be a website, that data can be a URL, that data can be a JSON format, whatever you might be. You will get some data in exchange. This is the basic definition and working of an API. Clear? Now, whenever we are creating an API, we follow a standard procedure, and we call that set of rules as REST. If you are creating your API using the concept, using the rules of REST, then we call that API as RESTful API. Now, before we proceed with the further part of our lecture, I want to show you a perfect blog post reading material of REST. So here, RESTful API blog. There is a website of Stack Overflow. By just reading it, you will understand in detail how REST will work. The thing is, the main objective of why we use REST in our platform is, whenever we are creating some real-time example, why we use REST is to make sure that whatever you are creating in your platform, that thing should be understandable by other developers. That is why this is one of the key reasons why we use REST concept. Okay, now there are two main things whenever we talk about REST you should keep in mind, which is, if you are creating APIs using the concept of REST, you should always use noun in the place of verb. For example, if you are creating a healthcare app which tracks the overall tracking healthcare application of your body, now let's say in that app we are having different routes. One route is for, it will check how much water you have drank. One route will check how much sleep you got. So all these things are different routes, different URLs. So you should always create your APIs using nouns, not verbs. Like, you should never ever create an API called as sleeping, drinking. You should never ever create that. Instead of that, you should create APIs like nouns, with nouns like tracking or track sleep, track / sleep. Like this, you should always use nouns in the place of verb. This is first rule. And the second rule is, your API should revolve around a particular resource. What is the meaning of it? What is the meaning of a resource, right? So to understand the meaning of resource, you should understand the need of a platform. For example, if I talk about Twitter, because Twitter is very easy to understand. So whenever you go to website of Twitter and write post, you will observe that if you are creating a post, you will get a URL called as post/create. If you are deleting a post, then you will go to a URL called as post/delete. If you are editing a particular part of your post, then you will go to a URL called as post.edit. So here one thing you need to observe here, which is all the things in Twitter, what we are doing, all the things, whatever operations we are doing, right, that thing is always interlinked to a post. Like, for example, if you're reading someone else's post, then you will see the URL post/username/read, something like this. You will get the URL. So here, what is the main resource? What is the one thing through which the whole platform is revolving? That one thing is post. In Twitter, it is post. Similarly, for YouTube, what is the one resource? Watching videos. So here you will see video/short video. If you are uploading a video, then you will see video.upload. So here the main resource is video. So you should always revolve your API around the resource. Now here what we are doing in this whole chapter, we will try to create a platform which is very similar to Quora. Here we can see the post in detail. Like here, this is the in detail post, and you can also delete a particular post. You can also create a post. Like this, we are trying to create a Quora like post using the concepts of APIs. Okay, now if you see our concept, like our APIs follow this thing like /post. Main resource is post here. And if I go to see details, you will see post/some ID. If I click on create, you will see post/new. Okay, this might be a little bit confusing. I will stop it here and I will continue my concept. So the thing is, we have understood what is a API, what is a RESTful API, and the two key things we should always remember whenever we create a API. First thing is your resource. Your API should always revolve with the main thing, with the main intent of your platform, right? And we call that main intent as resource. Now the second thing is, you should always use nouns in the place of verbs. You avoid, as a real developer, you should avoid creating verbs, or APIs using verbs, if I say correctly. Okay, got it. Now whenever we talk about APIs, they are some standard operations which are involved in it, and we call that standard operations as CRUD operations. So what is the full form of CRUD? C is nothing but creating, R is read, U is update, and D is delete. So whenever you deal with the API, the first thing you're gonna do is that first of all you will create that API. Now after creating a API, like using that path, API is nothing but a URL, right? So whenever you go to that URL, what you will get? You will get data in return, and you will read that data, right? Now if I want to update a particular thing within that URL, then I will use update method, and if I want to delete this particular URL, then I will use delete method. These are the 4 standard you can say methods which we use whenever we deal with APIs, and we will study about this. CRUD is a very important concept, and we will study this whenever when we study in the next lecture. We will talk about SQL, and after completing SQL we will come back to CRUD operations again. Okay, but for now you need to remember C is create, R is read, U is update, and D is delete. And they are some standard methods which we use to create or to deal with the concept of APIs. And that is get method. Get is used to retrieve resources. For example, let's say I am creating a API. API is nothing but a URL, right? So whenever I type that URL in my browser, what I will get? I will get some data in return, and this method is known as get method. Whenever I go to that URL, I am getting some data in return. This thing is known as get method. Now the next method is post method. Post method is used to upload some data from the front end to the server side. Okay, now the next method is put method. Put method is used to change the existing data. Let's say I got this data and I want to perform a complete edit on this particular data, a complete restructuring, or you can say editing on this particular data. Then in that case I will use put method. If I want to edit a particular part of that data, then I will use patch method. Now whatever the data I am getting, if I want to delete it completely, then I will use delete method. So these are the standard methods which we use to perform operations on a particular API, or you can say the data returned by that API. Now in this lecture I have told you that we are going to create a Quora like platform, and in that platform you need to understand the overall layout, right? So the first thing is our main resource. Our main resource is post. In Quora what we do, we will see post, we can edit post, we can create our very own post. So the main resource of this project, mini project, is post. So our main URL, main API will be /post. Now if I want to see or add a particular post, then I will use /post/new. This URL will help me to add a new post in my Quora page. Now if I want to see a particular post, then I will use ID of that particular post. I will write /post/ the ID of that post. Using this URL I will get one particular post. Using /post I will get all the posts. Using /post/new I can able to create a new post, right? This might be a little bit complex and confusing, but believe me, give me 2 minutes. When we go into the actual part of this whole thing, now it will be very easy to understand it, right? Now if I want to update a particular post, then I will write /post/id/update. This URL will help me in updating a particular post. Now if I want to delete a particular post, then I will write post/id/delete. This thing will help me in deleting the you can say data of a particular post. So these are the methods which we use to, you can say, the basic layout of our Quora page. I hope you have understood. Now let us go back to our coding part. So before we talk about the first API is /post, which is our main resource URL. So before we go into that, what I will do is that in my home directory, first of all, I will create a folder called as RESTful API, RESTful API. Now in this RESTful API, I will open this folder using my VS Code. So here I will open the folder RESTful API. Now click this. You will see this is my folder. I have opened my folder. Now first of all, I will open my terminal. In the terminal, my current path is cd c user daja and RESTful API. Now what I'm gonna do is that first of all, I will create my JSON package. So here I will write npm init _y. You will see this will create my JSON package. Now after creating JSON, clear, clear, and let me zoom it for you guys. Zoom it, and first of all I will install my Express, because we will create all our APIs using Express only. So here npm I Express. Now after creating Express, I install EJS also, npm I EJS. So right now I have installed my Express and EJS packages in my folder. You can see in my JSON folder I'll be having like my license, and in this you can see RESTful API and the packages which we have installed. Like this is the all the node packages. Okay, got it. Now what I'm gonna do is that first of all I will create my app.js. In the app.js, or you can say index.js, I will write my server side code. So here index.js. Now after creating index.js, I will create a folder called as views, because I know that my EJS file will run in the views folder only. Now to include styling also, like we are creating this sort of page, right? So we are trying to create this type of page. You can see I'm having a little bit styling. So styling will be in the public folder. All the JS and CSS file would be in my public files. Okay, got it. Now first of all I will create a clear you can say a structure. I will give a overall layout to my index.js. So here first of all I will import my Express package. So Express is equals to require, and here I will also require Express package. Now after this I will create a port. First before that I will initialize the Express object, and const port is equals to 8000 or 9000, let's say 5000 would be a classic port. Now after this I will give the path. So here const path is equals to require path my EJS. Now after this my EJS, so app.set, I'm setting. After setting, this is the Express setting, right? This is the standard method which we use to set up Express setup. Now after Express setup we will go to EJS setup. So EJS setup. In EJS setup, first of all we have to give app.set my view engine. So view engine comma EJS. Okay, after this app.use Express static. So here let me remove parenthesis, Express dot static. In this I will give my path dot join. I'm just giving I'm just telling my EJS to look for styling also. Like in the public folder, this line which I am writing express.static, this line will tell me that all the resources except EJS, all the resources, you will find it in the public folder. So here I will write path.join my underscore dir name comma my public folder. In the public folder I can find all my you can say resource files, Express, EJS, CSS, and JavaScript file. Now there is one more line which you may not understand. We already know this overall structure, right? When we studied Express, we have talked what is all this. When we studied EJS, in that we have seen how we write these lines in order to initialize EJS. Now there is one more line which I will write, but you might not understand it right now, because this line which I'm gonna write, app.use express.url len code, and here in this I will write extended and true. So this line is related to my, let me write it in the parenthesis. Okay, this line is related to my you can say middleware. So this is related to middlewires, and this line is used for, now you can understand it, whenever we create different routes. Now to create that routes we need to write these lines. Okay, this is related to middlewires, and we will study middlewires in the next 3 or 4 lectures. After 3 or 4 lectures we will study about middlewires in detail, but for now this is the basic setup we need in order to create our very own APIs. Now first of all let me run my app. So app.listen, and I will give my route /listen/ comma my port is, what is my port name? So here app.listen, my port comma my arrow function. Here I will give response.send. So here response.send, or I will write console.log app is activated, console.log app is listening at port 5000. Okay, 5000. Let me save it, and first of all let me run this app. So here I will clear all this. Now I will run the app right now. So before that, before running our app, let me install NodeMon also, npm I NodeMon, because I don't want to restart whenever I make a change. I don't want to restart my app again and again. That is why NodeMon is the best. So now I will run NodeMon app dot, my app name is index, so index.js. So here NodeMon is running, it is showing some sort of error. Okay, here I need to give true. Okay, now let me save it. Now you can see my app is running right now. App is activated, app is listening at port 5000. Now if I go to the port localhost 5000, right? So here localhost 5000, you will see my app is running right now, but there is no get request. Let me send it also a get request also. So here I will write app.get. Whenever I get a slash route, I will send a request response. So here request comma response, arrow function, I will send response dot send. This is a lecture of RESTful API. I'm just giving something randomly and checking whether my app is running or not. Now you will see app is listening at port 5000. If I go to port 5000 and reload it, you will see this is a lecture of RESTful API. Now my Express and EJS is working right now. Now what is the main resource? Coming back to our first API. Let me close the app right now. Okay, now come back to our first API. The first API is /post. This is our main resource API. Okay, so whenever I get a route of slash post, I should display all the data of all the posts. Here, to display all the data, what I will do is, first of all, let me delete the terminal for now. First of all, I will create a array. In that array, I will store all my post data. So here I will write let post is equals to, I will create an array. In that array, I will store objects. First one is name, basically username, and here initially I will give username as imaginary hub, and its content. What is the content of that particular user? So here content, C-O-N-T-E-N-T, content, right? C-O-N-T-E-N-T, bad with spellings. Here I will give this is a imaginary hub post, and this is my first post. Like this I can also create another post. Username, here username is the Jabir Hussain, and my content is, here I need to give comma, not statement terminator. So my content, T-E-N-T, content is I'm Batman. It's good, telling sometimes the reality, right? So here you can see I have created this two post. Now whenever I get a request for app.get, whenever I get a request for my main resource page post, whenever I get a request, I will send request comma response. First of all, let me check whether this API is working or not. So here I will write response dot send, and here let's say for now I'm showing resource API is working. So I'm checking for now whether my resource API is working or not. So here resource API is working. Okay, save it and go to the document. Now in this document I will give slash post. You will see this site is showing some error because my API is post. So here my request response, okay, yeah, it should work. Let me check post, right? So here post, okay, first of all let me run the app here. I'm not running the app. So here I will run the app here. So file, terminal, new terminal, and first of all I should run my app, then and only I will get the URL. So here nodemon index.js, my app is running. Now if I go to my resource URL, resource API, I will get the output as resource API is working. Now what I will do, the main thing is whenever I go to my resource URL, I should display all the data, right, of whatever the post I'm having in my Quora page. I should display all the data. So for that, in my views folder I will create a main page, index.ejs. Now in this page I will open my document, and here I will give Quora main page, okay, and I want you guys to do it along with me, because if I go a little bit fast, then you can cope up with me if you are doing it. Now here what I will do is that in the index.js file, we already know how to use EJS. So here I will write Quora all post page. I will show to my user. Now in my app.js file, in place of sending, what I will do is that I will send my entire page. So here, okay, here I will render request response dot render. I will render my EJS file. So here index.ejs, and along with it I will send the post array, right? I will send my post array as well. Now in this, what we are doing in the app, whenever I get a request for /post, I am rendering this index.ejs file, and along with it I am sending the data of this array. Now I will use the data of this array in my index.ejs file. So here I will run a loop. We already know how to run a loop using EJS. So here for my post, in my array of post, POSTS post, I will run a loop, percentage this, I will create a div, and let's say we should add the styling also, right? So here I will write class is equals to POST post, because we should add the styling to post as well. We should add the styling to each and every post. Now here I will give h3. In the h3, let's say class is username, so username and at the date and my username, I will do post dot username, and here percentage this, like this I will display first of all my username. After username I should display my content, so here I will write h4. Now here I will give the class also, class is equals to content, and here using EJS, percentage is equals to percentage. Now in this I will display the post content, so post dot content. Okay, save it. Now in the index, let me remove this at the date, because I am already using at the date, right? So here let me remove this. Now in this, after creating all this, I will give the styling also. So I will first of all create a styling file. In the public folder I will create style.css. In this style.css I will give the styling of each heading tag. So here in the heading tag I will write color. Let's say color should be brown or maroon, and my post class, for my post class I will give background color as this one, black almond, and content. For content, let's say I'm giving font size as italic, font style italic. Okay, let me save it. Now let me link this document as well. So here link href, okay, link href is equals to /style /style.css. I have attached my styling to my post. Now what I will do is that I will go to my URL now. If I open my localhost 5000/post, you can see I am having the website of Quora all post page, and the username is @imaginary hub, and his content is this is imaginary hub post, and the second user is Tijabir Hussain, and the content he's having is I'm Batman. So the thing we need to understand here is we have created a API, our main resource API, and whenever we go to this URL will represent all the content, whatever the post content we are having in the Quora page, all that will get displayed whenever we go to this particular URL. So we have successfully created our first URL. Now the next URL is creating a new you can say post. So to create a new post, it's a two-step process, right? So here it's a two-step process. First step is I will go to a URL called as post/new. Whenever I go to this URL, I will get a form which is consisting of two things. First thing is username, and second thing is content, right? So after like filling the content and username, I will click on submit, and when I click on submit, my old page will be redirected to my post, and the new post will get automatically added in my new post URL. This is the working of creating a new post process. So here what I'm gonna do is that, first of all, let me come back. I will create a new page for creating a post. So here new.ejs, I will create a page in views folder. In views folder, I will create a page called as new.ejs. Now in this, I will click on my document, and here I will create core new post. Okay, got it. Now after this, I will first of all create a form, and let me, for now, in the form I will create an input, and the name of this input is username. First of all, I will give my username. So here username, and placeholder is equals to enter username. Okay, now after this I will give a next line again, because I want the URL, the UI to be a little bit good. So here again a text area where I can write my content. For now I don't want any ID or this. Name is equals to content. So CENT, content. Okay, now here placeholder is equals to write your post. Okay, now let me save this, and whenever I get here, after creating this, I will create a button within the form. So button submit. Now when I click on submit, now I want my page to go to /post. Here you can see the overall flow is, first of all, we will create /post/new page. In that page I am having a form. When I click on submit, I want my form to go from this page to /post page. So here I will give action is equals to /post, and the method which I am using is they are like standard methods. I have just shown you that first one is get method. Get method is used to get all the data from a particular server. Now if we want to send a particular data from user side to server, then we use the concept of method post. So in the form I will give method is equals to post. Let me save it. Now in the index.ejs, our app, what I'm gonna do is that I will create the API. This is the API for my resource. This is the API for my resource. Okay, now the next API we are going to create now is API for creating new post. So creating new post. Okay, so here I will give app.get. Whenever I get a request for URL for /post/new, I should render a form. So here I will give request response, and the response would be my response.render. I will render my new.ejs file form page. Now after the data, like whatever the data user fills, I should apply that data into my post page. So for that I will use my post method, because I am getting data from client side to my server side. So here I will give app.post, and in this what I will do is that I will send my user to post page, posts post, request, response. In this, first of all, I will store the whatever the data the user has given me. So here username, content is equals to request, body, whatever the data typed my user, I am storing that data. Now after storing that data, I will add this data into my array. So here I will add post.push, and I will integrate, I will add username, content. Now after this I will just print for now console.log. I will print the data, whatever the data which I am storing in my database. Right now I am not having any database, that is why I am storing everything in this array. Whatever the data I am storing in that array, I will print it in my console screen. So here I will write console.log request.body. Now after this I will tell to my user that request.send create request is working. Create request is working. I'm just checking whether my API is working or not. Now yeah, let me save this and go to my URL. So here I will write slash new. When I go to slash new, here the URL is terminal, new terminal, and in this I will run my app. My app is node.js index.js. My app is running right now, and I will go to slash post. My URL is slash post. Where is my URL? Slash post slash new. Let me save it and go to my URL. You can see my path is slash post slash new. Refresh it, you will see I'm getting a form. Now first of all, let me make it a little bit clear, right? So here I will give another next button, a BR button. Okay, BR, next line, and again refresh the document. You will see I'm having username, my content. Let me zoom it. Okay, my username and content. So right now I will give username as Batman, and the content is I am the greatest superhero of all time. Now when I click on submit, now you will see my request is working. But what I want whenever I send my data, I should get it in my console. You can see in my console I am getting the data like username. Let me zoom it. You can see I'm getting username is Batman, and the content which I have written is I'm the greatest superhero of all time. I want this data to get displayed on my slash post all post page. So for that, what I will do is that here in my index.js file, in the place of request.send, I will render. So here I will write redirect the whole page. So here redirect, and I will write redirected to post page. So post is my main API page, right? So to that page I will redirect my post method. So here let me save it and come back. So here you can see I'm having data Batman. Refresh. Okay, Batman, and I will write I am the knight. Okay, now click on submit. You will see I am having the data Quora all post. Now the new post which I am having is username the Batman, and the content is I am the new knight. So till now we have understood what is main our resource API and how to create our new post. Now let us understand how we can see a particular post in detail. So to see a particular post, we should identify, okay, this is post 1, this is post 2, this is post 3. So for that, what I will do is that I will give unique IDs to each and every post, right? So how I'm gonna do that? There is a concept called as UUID. What UUID will do is that for each and every post, it will give it a unique ID. So to integrate UUID in our index.js, we have to first of all, let me close the app, close it and clear all the screen. Now I will first of all install my npm I UUID, right? So first of all, let me show you what is UUID. This is the concept of UUID. What this will do is that it will create unique IDs for each and every post. And how to install it? First of all, we have to copy this line and go to the document, and I will write npm install UUID. Click enter. You will see your UUID package will start. Now I have installed. Now in the index.page, what I'm gonna do is that first of all I will for UUID, this is UUID setup, right? I will write const v4, these are the standard lines which we have to use, which we have to write to use the concept of UUID. So here UUID v4 is the package which we have installed right now, is equals to require UUID. Okay, now after this I will create objects of each and every post, UUID v4 object, and for each and every post will have unique ID, right? So UUID, like this I will give UUID for each and every post. Now how we can see a single page in detail? So to see a single page, what I can do is that in my index.ejs file I will create, within the loop I can create a button, right? I can create a button called as a anchor tag, and for this anchor tag I will write see post in detail. Okay, now save it, and in the index.ejs file I will create a API for single post viewing. Okay, so here in the index.js I will give app.get. Whenever I get a request for /post/id, for that particular ID I should show the post of that ID, right? So here I will give request comma response. Now in this, first of all I will get the ID of that post. So here ID is equals to request.params. After this I will match that ID with the existing IDs in my array. If that ID got matched, then I will show to my user, okay, this is the post for that ID. If there is no ID, like for example in my array I am having ID of 1, ID of 2, but I am searching for a post which is, I should get error, right? So here I will write post post is equals to post dot, I will filter out, right, whatever the array, in that array whatever the ID I am having which is equivalent to my given ID, right, to my ID given by my user, right? If that ID is equal, if that ID is equal, then I will write request dot redirect to my here. If that ID not equal, okay, I have written not equal. If that ID is equal, then I will render, right, I will render my show.ejs page, and along with that particular post. Okay, now let me save it, and here I will, in the index.ejs page, what I'm gonna do is that I will here give the URL http / localhost 5000 and /post/ my ID, what ID I'm getting. So here let me give ID as is equals to post post and dot ID %. Okay, so like this I will see. Now to see a particular post in detail, I'm gonna create a new page called as show.ejs page. This page will show the post in detail. So here in the show.ejs file I will write single post details. Okay, so in this page I will write h2 here is your post in detail. Now in this I will write a paragraph and post ID. I will give the post ID generated by package, whatever the package I have installed, right? So that package, whatever the ID it has generated, I will show it. So post.id. Now after this, in the div block I will show my h3, my class is equals to username, and I will give my this thing. Okay, now here I will give post dot username, and after this h3 content. I will also display the content. So class is equals to content, and here I will give post.content. Percentage is equals to percentage post.content. I am showing the content, right? So let me save it, and right now I'm not running my app, but for now in my index.ejs file, let me save this thing, and yeah. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is that after creating show.ejs, I will run my app. So here node mon index.js, my app is running. It is showing some sort of error. UUID object creation, there is an error in UUID. Let me see it first. Okay, here I need to give okay, now let me save it, open my new terminal, run my app, node mon index.js. My app is running right now, localhost 5000, and this is the main page. Now when I click on see post in detail, then I will get data of that particular post. Click on it and you will see this is the ID of that particular post, and the post is imaginary hub. This is the like something back to the post. I will be redirected to this. Like this we can see a single post. Along with it we can also like if I want to create a new post, I will click on create new post. This is a link you can create. You can make it as a button as well, but for now I have made it as a button. Now till now we have understood how we can create how we can see all the posts, creating new posts, viewing a single post. Now let us understand how we can delete it. To delete a particular post in our Quora page, we use a package called as method override. So here we have to install that method also. So npm I method. Here let me show you first of all the package. This is the package which we are going to use to delete a particular post in our Quora page. Whatever the array we are having, right, in that array, if I want to delete the overall content username of the old post, then I will use this method. So here first of all let me install the method. Now after installing, what I will do is that I will first of all make like setup of this particular package. So here for delete setup, right? So here I will set up const method override. Method override is equals to require my method override. Okay, now after requiring the package, I will create for deleting. I will set up app.use my method override, and the method which we are going to use is method. Okay, and underscore method. This is the standard approach which we use to delete a particular post. Okay, now after this I will create an API for my deleting. So here in this I will create delete API, and I will write app.delete method. We use delete method here. Now whenever I get a /post /ID for this route. Now for this, whenever I get request comma response, I will first of all get the ID of that particular post. So let ID is equals to request comma params, and after this post is equals to post dot filter. I will filter it out that particular post which is having that ID. So here filter post comma filter my p, the post which is having that ID is not equals to the given ID. I will keep that post, and after that I will redirect to my post, my main page, my resource URL, so posts post. Now what I'm gonna do is that in the index.js I will create you can say a form which is used to delete a particular post. So here this I will create a form method is equals to post method is equals to post, and whenever I get the action, now what I will do is that I will redirect to my API slash, you know what I'm doing, whenever I'm getting a request on this URL, I'm sending to slash post slash ID. So here I will write slash posts post slash, and I will give the ID of that particular request. So here percentage is equals to percentage post dot ID, and I will give for this particular the method which we are gonna use is delete method. So here whenever I get whenever someone click on this button, a delete method will get automatically activated. Inside it I will create a button delete. Now let me save it and go run my platform, run my app. Node mon index.js app is running right now in the localhost 5000. This is my localhost 5000. Let me refresh it. You can see I'm having see post in detail. When I click on it, I can see the post in detail. If I want to create a new post, I will click on create a new post. If I want to delete it, then I will just click on delete, and automatically my post will get deleted. Like this, we use this Quora page. Now, it's not exactly, but yeah, we use this page to create, delete, and see post in detail. This is how APIs will work. Till date we have understood, till now we have understood how to view all the resource API posts, how to delete it, how to edit, how to create a new post. All this APIs operations we have studied, and all the things which we have created. This is an API in itself. This is an API in itself. Like this, we have understood how we can create our very own API from the scratch. So with that being said, this is about RESTful APIs. I will provide you the documentation link of RESTful API in the comment section. You can go and read it there. I recommend you guys to please go and read about RESTful APIs. With that being said, I will see you in the next chapter of SQL.